I'd like to thank you, Chairman Stupak, and members of the subcommittee for giving consumers an opportunity to weigh in on a subject that is critical to our very existence, and that is the safety of our food. My name is Nancy Donley, and I'm the president of S.T.O.P, Safe Tables Our Priority. S.T.O.P is a national grassroots nonprofit organization whose mission is to prevent illness and death from pathogens in the food supply. Our work involves sound policy advocacy, building awareness of foodborne risk and its management, and providing victim assistance. I personally became involved in food safety after the death of my 6-year-old son, Alex, from E. coli 0157H7 poisoning in 1993. It is very important to emphasize that modified atmospheric packaging systems, or MAP, have been used for years. The traditional MAP system for meat includes the use of carbon dioxide and nitrogen, which provides an antimicrobial benefit. The current debate centers on the addition of small amounts of carbon monoxide to this mix. Adding carbon monoxide creates a chemical reaction that changes the color of the meat to a very bright red. That color change is maintained indefinitely until the package is opened. This unnatural but appealing color change is the sole purpose for adding carbon monoxide into the process. The addition of carbon monoxide does not contribute any additional antimicrobial properties to a traditional MAP system using carbon dioxide and nitrogen. Meat packaged with carbon monoxide might be very unsafe, but the consumer would never question this because of its artificial bright red color. Microorganisms, including deadly pathogens, breed whenever there is a breach in the cold chain. Meat will turn brown or gray if it has been temperature abused, something that consumers know to look for. However, meat packaged with carbon monoxide will still appear bright red and safe even after extreme temperature abuse. High pathogen levels could be present, putting the consumer at risk of serious foodborne illness. A change in color also keeps the entire food system honest. Meat processors, storage facilities, transportation carriers, and retail establishments have strong incentives to maintain the cold chain because otherwise the product is easily identified as compromised, rendering it unsaleable. That safety check disappears with meat that always remains red regardless of extreme temperature abuse. Proponents of using carbon monoxide argue that consumers would be warned via an odor if the product was spoiled. We have two concerns with this. There are people with compromised olfactory senses who may not notice an off odor. Seniors often experience this, and they are one of the populations most at risk of contracting the most severe forms of foodborne illness. Odors are only detectable once the package is open, which doesn't occur until the purchaser has brought it home. The customer has the choice to return it, which is a hassle, or throw it away. In each case, the customer has been cheated. These and other factors all point to the need for labeling any meat that has been packaged using carbon monoxide. Consumers have the right to know what processes and additives have been used in the food they purchase. Full disclosure is necessary. In this case, the label would need to state that carbon monoxide was used in packaging, which causes meat to artificially maintain a bright red color. It should also state that the customer must heed the use or freeze-by date listed and not to rely on color, that to do so is not safe. Color is a tool heavily used by consumers to judge if their meat is fresh and safe. We are concerned that people will choose to eat meat that has been packaged using carbon monoxide after the use-by date because they don't want to throw out what appears to be a perfectly fine-looking $10 steak. Hence the need for clearly worded information to minimize this risk from happening. Lastly, I want to comment on the process used by FDA and USDA to grant GRAS status to meat packaged with carbon monoxide. First and foremost, we believe that this is a color additive issue that should have gone through a general rulemaking process. But obviously this did not happen. Regardless, the way that our regulatory agencies handle these GRAS petitions cause us deep concerns. I am neither a scientist nor a statistician, but even I can tell after looking at the studies submitted to FDA and USDA by the companies in support of their petitions that sound science was not used. The number of samples of ground beef used was extraordinarily small. They only used 6 in one study and 15 in the other, as for instance. In each study, all the samples were taken from one plant at a single point in time. The temperature abuse study was done at 50 degrees Fahrenheit, which is far colder than even room temperature. And last is the sampling was done at the point of production rather than on retail product that had passed through the cold chain. FDA itself has acknowledged that temperature abuse is common throughout distribution and retail markets. As a consumer who relies on our government to evaluate processes used on the foods I feed my family, I'm appalled. FDA and USDA need to revisit these GRAS approvals and also reevaluate how they accept the science of companies seeking to use new additive and food technologies. Thank you for your attention. I'll be happy to answer any questions.